This is the Harshest. I am ranking our crypto altcoins for the 2025 bull run. I am pulling no punches. This video is my honest insights on some of our favorite altcoins. I've got about 50 here to go through today. Some of them are great for this bull run. Some of them are plain crap, and some of them I think will forever be noted as legendary god tier altcoins. And I can't thank you enough. I put a recent tweet out asking you guys what your altcoins were and what ones you were willing enough to put up on the chopping block in today's video. So let me know down below which of the altcoins I missed in this one, particularly the micro and small caps, and I'll make a follow-up video in the coming weeks for you guys. But first of all, we're ranking these altcoins today, and we are ranking it based on this tier system. This tier system is going to work like this. First of all, Luna. What projects I see having an impending crash? Straight up shitcoin, meh, I couldn't really be too bothered. Not bad, not good. Punt, it could do very well this bull run, but I wouldn't hold my breath for future bull runs. I would straight up buy right now. Legendary is where we begin to get into coins that will do really well this bull run, and I see in the next bull run as well. And god tier altcoins are one that you could buy today, buy at the top of this bull run even, and end up holding for 20 years. Irrespective of whether the crypto survives or not, I think that these ones will always have a place in the market to some degree. Now, what you have to understand, guys, is that in this video, a lot of these rankings will depend on the narrative. It is much easier for a coin, even a crap coin in AI, gaming, deepin, or meme coins to do very well, opposed to a coin down here in like IoT or supply chain to do well. If it's going to be in these low-ranking, low-interest niches of the bull run, it's going to have to be a very standout project. Now, irrespective of whether it's a standout project in a small, crappy ranking narrative, or whether it's the best narrative in the world, like possibly gaming or real assets, I'm also going to be talking about some of the coins that I do think will outperform the rest, like Solana did here with other layer 1 altcoins getting a 50x more return than other projects in that same narrative last time around. So before we get into it, I do want to read a quick disclaimer. Because they are ranked on my complete honesty, are going to have a lot of negative feedback down below simply because people feel like I'm attacking them personally. So I'm going to read this word for word here. This is my opinion, first and foremost. You're more than welcome to leave yours below, but let's not discourage each other from open dialogue, because ultimately, when we prevent ourselves from having open discussions where people stop sharing opinions in the public space and we all start to kind of follow a very similar thought process, this coin's good, yeah, that coin's not good, even though you might disagree, then we all basically end up being sheep led to the slaughter, I do think, because some of these altcoins like Luna in the last cycle are crap coins. People calling it out for months or years before it collapsed were laughed at and mocked. And this is the problem with this industry. So you can help support me with a like down there right now if you want to prevent tribalism. And at that as well, make sure you do subscribe. That is going to allow you to succeed this bull run. Let's kick things off with a look, first of all, into Aave. Now, obviously, I've got like 45 coins, so I'm going to have to be very quick, so excuse the quickness, but the ranking is the ranking. It's just as simple as that. I love Aave. The thing with Aave is that it's going to quickly come into price discovery. Really, the price is already pretty much at the previous all-time highs of the last cycle, which means it won't take much for it to be at a point where the sky's the limit, right? There's no sort of bounds to where it can go to. There's no previous support or resistance levels, which is actually a very good thing. As for subsequent bull runs, I think it is limited because it is a DeFi coin and it's a lending coin. There will always be competitors basically to Aave that will spring up. So I don't think it's a legendary in that sense, but for this bull run, absolutely is a would buy project, particularly because it is the only coin in all of crypto that I've so far researched that has a perfect 100 out of 100 score for both the third party and investor warning score. So you don't have to worry about tokenomics with this coin. Cardano. The next coin here, I'm going to put it in absolute shitcoin. No, I'm only joking, guys. It's a legendary coin in my opinion. It absolutely is a legendary coin. And the reason why is, one, I love Charles. While he does have his quirks and features about him, and he does say some pretty interesting things, I still do like the guy. I think he is to some degree, a good leader. He's most definitely a very intelligent man. He now has his paws in the US government. And also, he's planning to make Cardano a layer 2 for Bitcoin. So there are catalysts, and I do think if you look into the consensus, if you look into the ecosystem, there are signs of life. It is a strong technical project. It just needs the community to finally shift its, I guess, negative stance on the coin to begin with. Now, Aerodrome actually is a would buy. I own this coin, but the thing is, the reason it's not legendary god tier is the same reason why Hbar is here. It's on base, it's great for institutional demand, and I think base layer 2 will be around for a while, but it's just a DEX, and I say that lightly. It is just a DEX on base. While this is a good thing for this cycle, a lot of demand, I think it'll still do well in the next cycle. Likely, it's too soon to tell that for sure, and again, I don't want to kind of put it in legendary just to be safe for now, but I do think it will be good in perpetuity. AOS. Well, look, I honestly would put this in would buy, but right now I do believe it belongs in punt. Now, look, these rankings can definitely change, all right? So it's my opinion. And with my opinion, obviously that means that today it might be a good coin, tomorrow it might be a bad coin, or vice versa. I would love to see more from AOS, but right now I just don't think that it's worthy enough to be a long-term coin. We know the team's smart enough to be able to merge their narratives for the bull run. They were just a streaming coin like 12 months ago. They merged into now an AI storage and deepin coin, very smartly so, which gave them that like kind of 100x pump at the start of like the early parts of the bull run, which was great. But as I said, I'm just not convinced it's still going to go up another 10x or so more in a confident way. It could do it, but it's a risk and reward. I think there are better plays at the same market cap level that could do a further 10x than a coin like AOS. But again, I'm not saying it can't. That's just how I feel right now. Cash, I'm going to put this in would buy. I think a lot of people are speculating this coin does quite well because of Trump's inauguration and it's a US-based coin. But the problem with the cash for the long term and why it doesn't go into a legendary or god tier is because what it's trying to do or what it is doing, which is like renting out GPU power here, this is a very easily replicatable sort of business model. And you're going to have a sort of unique selling point, in my opinion, in order to be able to stand out in the long term. So when they find that unique selling point, great. Other projects like Aether or IONET aren't quite the same because these guys target the average everyday person. They're more institutional. But still, I want to, again, how hard is it to replicate this? So in that same respects, I will actually quickly put Aether here right next to a cash, and I'll throw IONET right next to it. Again, the infrastructure, deepin, AI plays. Aether is actually branching out a bit more right now into multiple different narratives, but it doesn't justify me putting that in legendary because I don't see it right now standing the test of time as a completely unique project. The revenue's there. I think even IONET leverages Aether's infrastructure, but it's just, again, not a coin I'm confident to put for the long-term success, or at least another bull run success. IONET is pretty much cut from the same sort of branch. In this case, I do think it's a great coin. AI deepin, Aether, I think is slightly better in the sense that, of course, they leverage Aether. But IONET and both Aether are partnering up here with some big institutions, which is what it's trying to do, right? I think a massive partner recently for Aether was the guys over in the UAE. Both of these coins recently partnered up with Injective. There's a whole story here, so I'm not going to talk too much more about that. So what about ASI or FET? Well, I actually think it belongs in the legendary section. It doesn't quite fit as a god tier coin right now. I think it'll still do well in the next bull run. I think it'll only get better from here. But again, I just want to see how this new alliance is kind of like working in perpetuity. There might be kinks along the line. There are 4 independent teams working together. That, of course, could lead to problems. We just don't know yet. But I think as the promise of competing with centralized AI giants and doing it in a decentralized, fair way, as well as trying to beat them at their own game, I think it's a recipe for success. They've got Fetch's infrastructure with the whole AI agent landscape. They've got Singularity Net's rich research and development. They've got Ocean Protocols, AI and data. I mean, look, it's a recipe for success. It really is. They just need to execute. They burnt 5 million FET tokens, which I think burnt almost $100 million worth of the tokens recently, so it's deflationary as well. There's a whole bunch of great stuff to talk about there. Now, Cosmos unfortunately has the capabilities to be a god tier or legendary coin, but in my opinion, for this bull run, it's not even meh. I think it's just straight up shit, if I'm being honest with you. Look, I think it'll do well in perpetuity. Maybe it does deserve a little bit of respect here. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh because at the end of the day, this coin is the foundations for a lot of projects. A lot of projects are built on the Cosmos SDK. That also includes FET. FET itself is built on Cosmos. Injective is built on Cosmos as the foundational layer right here. Okay? The only issue with Cosmos is that as a project, not a infrastructure, as a project itself for, again, gains, multiples, I just don't see it being there. They have not done a great job at captivating people. And honestly, that's reflected in the fact that they keep losing dominance. They get further and further down this list the longer the bull run goes. I'm hoping something changes for this coin. I wish no coin unwell because that means you guys lose money. But Cosmos, yeah, I don't think it's deserving of too much respect. Maybe possibly meh, but we'll leave it here for this video. Avalanche here is definitely a would buy. The reason being is because the multiples aren't quite there. Of course, it's not a massively multiple heavy coin. I think it only 10x's here max in terms of the market cap. However, it is a safe layer 1 gaming coin play. Now, it's not really a layer 1 coin. It's kind of like Cosmos and Polkadot. It's more of a layer 0, but at the same time, it's kind of known as a layer 1. And I definitely would look at this coin as more of a gaming / tokenization play. So if you're missing those sort of narratives in your portfolio, or if you want to double down on these two strong narratives, this would be the coin, I think, to substitute that void. But again, the multiples just aren't there. So it definitely could be a legendary coin. I want to see how it goes this cycle. Now, XLR is a great coin. I'm going to put it in a would buy because if you're looking for a cross-chain project that also hits tokenization, that has a lot of ties to the real world as well, this is your play. These guys invented a type of messaging protocol that is commonly used for coins like Moonbeam and others. So it's a really great play. The longer this project sits in the ecosystem and the more connections is built, I think the more reliant other coins will be on it, which will mean obviously it will be less susceptible to be removed out of the market, pushing it into legendary status. Now, Beam's another layer 1 gaming coin. They were actually a subnet, so like kind of like a layer underneath Avalanche, but they've branched out into their own layer, but also still connect and talk with Avalanche. So they're only a 1 now, and I do think these guys are the best R&R, so risk and reward play for layer 1 gaming coins. I'm going to put it in would buy. The treasury is also very, very big. It slightly outbeats, in my opinion, Immutable X, which I will still put in would buy as well. The reason why I think Beam technically would be better for this bull run than IMX is because it's a lower market cap. It's more suited towards the average degen. If I scroll down here and I'll show you the difference between the two, you'll see that IMX is $13 at a $2 billion market cap. When this coin goes to, 10, 15, 20 bucks, if it does that, of course, people are going to be less susceptible to buy it over Beam because why do that when you can buy like 100,000 Beam for the same price, even at those higher market cap levels? I know it's fugazi, it's fugazi, but this is how regular folk think, regular retail thinks. So we have to think like a mouse to catch the mouse, so to speak. Clearpool, great coin. I won't spend too much time on it. Definitely a would buy coin. Now, Polkadot definitely outpaces Cosmos. I'm going to put it into a legendary coin here. I see it doing well this bull run and the next bull run, particularly because of some of the important updates coming to it. A massive update that could come is called Jam. This is going to restructure and reshape how Polkadot fundamentally works. They've done things, I think, better than Cosmos, and I've always loved these. I mean, I was known for the first 18 months of my YouTube journey as the Polkadot guy because I made so much Polkadot content. So I do love it, got a place in my heart. Now, Eigenlayer is the next coin, and I love this coin, okay? I think this will do really well in the long term, I hope, because it introduced something called restaked tokens. So all of the Ethereum locked up inside of ETH that people are using for staking and securing the network, well, they couldn't do anything with that ETH, right? These guys said, well, hang on, we'll let you put that ETH inside of our protocol. You can still stake that in Ethereum, earn rewards for doing so and secure the network, but also use a synthetic version to go and secure other networks. Technically, it's kind of like fractionalized reserve banking. It's a little bit, how you going? But I love the concept, right? It's optimizing a single token in many different ways and securing different networks. But there's an argument for and against it, as I said. But either way, I don't know how it's going to go this bull run. That's my only issue. These guys are having a horrendous engagement here on Twitter. Now, this doesn't always stay the same. Just because it's got bad engagement now doesn't mean it'll always be like that because, of course, interest comes and goes. I think, though, long-term successes definitely could be there. But this bull run, though, at least it's going to be in the punt for now. Filecoin, in my opinion, deserves a spot in the legendary section. Reason being is because I think as time goes on, we're going to put a premium on hardware. And as we put a premium on hardware, less people will be able to afford it. Therefore, we'll be reliant on projects to do things like decentralized computation, right? And that's where I think decentralized storage will really come in handy because I think that's going to be just as valuable as decentralized computation. Probably not to the same degree, but definitely in that sort of echelon. I think Filecoin is one of the de facto storage projects for the short and long term. I don't think it'll do amazing this bull run. It would definitely be one I'd be a little bit safe knowing I still do hold. Now, Flare's a new layer 1 on the block, right? This coin bakes in two different types of things that make crypto tick: oracles and cross-chain transfers. It puts them inside the layer 1 itself. Now, typically, they don't do that. Typically, there's a layer 1 that's built, and the layer 1 relies on applications built on top by third-party teams to build that on top of it. These guys bake it inside the layer 1, which means it's safer and more reliable, okay? So, of course, it's got great potential to go up in price. Where would I put it? Honestly, it would be a would-buy coin. Just because it is new, it doesn't quite fit legendary status for me. Now, I do think Flux for me fits legendary status. It's been around for a long time. It's never had any downtime. It's a proof-of-work layer 1 blockchain. It's also energy efficient, so it's like Bitcoin, but it's energy efficient, which means that all the computation wasted securing the network, that goes back into the network and is used for things like rendering and AI and a whole bunch of cool stuff. It's also a US-based coin as well, which means it might do very well in the upcoming 12 months. We have Gala. In my opinion, it's definitely a meh coin, not too fussed on Gala. I think much better plays are out there for layer 1 gaming coins. And honestly, part of the reason why I'm saying that is because Gala unfortunately has split kind of like their focal points. They do Gala Games, Gala Music, and Gala Film as well. I just don't like that. I'd rather buy a coin that just hits what I'm looking for. I mean, this might do well. I mean, there might be little pumps here and there based on independent news from one of these other sort of subsidiaries, but in my opinion, I just think there's other better plays for specifically gaming layer 1s. Hedera, I think, definitely our first god tier coin on this list. The infrastructure in this project is second to none, and I've been saying this for the last 3 years, guys. 3 years. A lot of you have said, Kyron, why'd you sell your Hbar for? I sold it because I didn't know that the coin was about to pump. Had I known that, I would have held on to it. At the time, the risk and reward was, I think, favorable. I, bought coins at great prices when that was down low, and I had made a slight profit on Hbar, by the way, which was things like Render, Ondo. So I've got, switched very well here. But I said, even when I made that switch, I made it very public. I still love the coin. It's still my top god tier level project. It's just at the time, I saw better opportunities for this bull run. And until the bull run ends, you can't say it was a mistake because you just don't know how much money the other projects could get versus where Hbar could still go. So, people have this idea where Kyron hates Hbar. No, I don't. I love it. I've always said that. And I still said it was going to do well. Now, the thing is, I love it because it's a hash graph. It's the only hash graph. The way that it modeled the hash graph was fantastic. Fair ordering of transactions, guys. Right now, it's used for very specific things like, it's used in supply chain management and all this other stuff. But really, where I see it shining as well is also gaming because it's fair ordering. No matter how much you pay the miners or validators, you can't actually overcome the network. They have the best governing council members from literally Google, Boeing, Mondelez. I mean, the list goes on. They are going to succeed for the long term, and I bet my bottom dollar right now, Hbar does even better the next bull run, okay? Now, Hyperliquid, I'm going to put next to shit, but I don't think that it deserves to sit next to Cosmos. I just don't see what the fuss about this coin really is, to be honest with you guys. Like, it's a new layer 1 focusing on finance. We've got like 7 of these layer 1s already out there. Unless the product here is substantially different, which, pardon my lack of research, I haven't looked into comparing it to the other competitors, then in my opinion, like it's another coin that's just buzzed up on hype. A lot of the guys talking about it possibly are talking about it because it's going up and up and up in price and it's easy views, or again, even Grayscale are talking about it. So unless I'm drastically missing something, I think it's just buzz for this bull run, new coin, new shiny toy on the block. ICP is a great, great, great coin. In my opinion, god tier. God tier. You can host like terabytes of storage in a smart contract on their blockchain. You can host full websites, front end, back end. I mean, the whole works. It deserves the #1 spot, and I'm happy to hold this coin for a while. I know a lot of people are staking in their staking service for like 10 years. It's crazy. Now, Illuvium, I think, is good for a single game. It's probably one of the better single games out there. It did well in the last cycle. I still think it'll do well this bull run. In my opinion, though, it's still risky because you are relying on that. Well, technically, there's 3 games there right now. You are relying on that game or games to do very well, which if they miss the mark, it could be disastrous. So I'm going to put it in punt, but again, it could really shine. We have Injective. In my opinion, this is a legendary coin. It's not quite god tier, but it has the ability to. And the reason why I love Injective is because I can see the team knows how to market for a bull run. Believe you me, I've researched a lot of coins in this space and backtracked why they're doing things at certain times. and injective, these guys are smart. I'll tell you right now, if I was on a team trying to, claw in as much of the retail interest as possible, I would be pretty much have replicated exactly how injective have been doing things. Honestly, it's just like a little weirdly too perfect. I don't see them not doing well this bull run. So plain and simple, legendary. They should do well next bull run as well. That's why they belong there, but they are a newer coin. Jupiter, in my opinion, would be a would buy for this cycle, given the interest around Solana Rico. Obviously, they're pretty much the main DEX on that. It's going to find a lot of demand, as we all know. That's what the main DEX usually does. That's why I love Aero, of course, and I've bought that as well myself. Chainlink, in my opinion, is a god tier coin. Chainlink, you will find this coin around forever, and this coin now has branched out so much so, as they say here, the whole world running on Chainlink, that they aren't even a crypto-specific coin much anymore. I mean, they obviously focus within crypto, but where they're going, you can see here, it's just going to be 10 times bigger than anything crypto could have made it to be. So yeah, definitely would hold this coin for the long term myself. Maybe the next bear market, I might pick up a little bit to hold for perpetuity. Kadena is our next coin, another proof of work layer 1 blockchain like Flux, but these guys are different. They created their own layer 1-esque infrastructure called Chainweb, a really genius architecture in my opinion. The only issue is I see these guys struggling to beat the previous all-time high, because to hit the previous all-time high from here, it's over a 2x, it's like a 25x. And the reason it went up so much in the last cycle so suddenly was because there was a massive update and the whole community, literally the whole crypto community was like, oh my God, this coin. So it's going to have to a similar degree, a lot of interest again. And again, like if you're looking at risk and reward, I don't want to take that risk, right? So it's definitely a punt. It could do very well. Great coin. The team and the co-founders, the two co-founders here, ex-JP Morgan, smart dudes. But they have, I think, an uphill battle. Mina's our next coin here. I'm actually going to... guys, I want this to be a legendary coin. I want it to be legendary. It's almost there. It's not quite. It's like almost. Stressing me out a little bit not putting it in legendary, because here's the reason. Mina deserves a spot in legendary because I think there will forever be a use case for what Mina does, which is ZKP technology, zero knowledge proofs. And these are important in crypto because, especially around tokenization, because when we tokenize these assets from the real world, like Ondo and BlackRock are trying to do here with Securitize and actually Wormhole, or when they're all on chain, what if someone like myself wants to use or borrow out against one of these securities or again trade these, and you need to know my passport and my driver's license, but I don't want to give that to you. That's part of crypto, right? Well, with ZKP technology, you know for a fact I've given my passport information and it's all valid, but you don't actually see it. So it's completely private and secure. So that's what these guys do. There are other use cases for this as well. That Fala, one of the smaller coins I'll talk about in a different video, actually has as well with their Ts, trusted execution environments. But needless to say, Mina is a great coin. They've got some unique attributes to themselves as well. Definitely would buy, flirting with that legendary status. Morpho is actually a would buy. Now, I'm very bullish on this coin, but for the same reason Aerodrome's in this list, Morpho is lending and borrowing on Base. They recently had an announcement, or at least Coinbase said, that Bitcoin-backed loans on Base are going to be done through Morpho, which is fantastic. This coin will erupt this bull run. Definitely a would buy. In terms of perpetuity, we're going to have to wait and see, but I do see Base, its bottom layer infrastructure here, looking at always catering towards institutional clients. I made a video on this recently, and therefore Morpho being the de facto lending and borrowing platform on Base, it's going to do well. But again, seeing is believing, right? Near Protocol next, in my opinion, this deserves, it's a tough one. I'm going to put it in legendary. I see it doing well. They're heavily into AI agents this bull run, but I don't think it just quite is at the god tier status just yet. They're planning to bring 1 billion users to Web3. They're doing things called chain abstraction, centralizing liquidity, really some incredible stuff. I think the next bull run, I'll be able to really tell the next bear market whether it deserves that top spot or not. But it could definitely be a Solana-esque coin, like truly be better than Solana ever could be. The tech is definitely there at least. Ondo is definitely god tier. Straight up, you guys know all about Ondo. Optimism is one of my favorite layer 2s, I do think, but it's definitely going to be a punt just because layer 2s as a narrative, I don't think is as sexy as it once was when Celestia here, the coin forefronting modularity, first came about. Now, I do think in that same respect as well, Celestia could do quite well given that Solana layer 2s pop up, because there'll be a need for infrastructure plays like Celestia to come on again, So in my opinion, I do think that Celestia is probably, it's a bit of a punt, but I think it would be just in the would buy section, honestly, just in the would buy section. If you need to hit modularity at layer 2s, you can kind of compromise with Celestia rather than actually buying layer 2 coins themselves. Now, Pyth, I think, is definitely a legendary coin. The reason why it's legendary and not would buy is because while we see Chainlink move out of focusing on being an oracle primarily, that will leave a little bit of a void for Pyth. Pyth has like $1 trillion in traded volume. 1 trillion, guys. As a matter of fact, in less than a month, it's gained an extra 136 billion. They got more price feeds than Chainlink here. They run like more networks than Chainlink. They have $15.2 billion in total value secured. And for a lot of these newer layer 1s, they are the de facto, essentially at this point, oracle in and out. They provide data feeds for the DeFi on those layer 1s, particularly if you're bullish on Solana ecosystem, which I am. This is a great play into oracles and also Solana ecosystem for the long term. Now, Render, of course, is another Solana ecosystem project, but of course, these guys are heavily AI and deepin. In my opinion, based on some recent upgrades they're doing here with allowing people to plug into Render to tap into the GPU power for AI agents, then this thing could go parabolic. They have a burn and mint equilibrium, which means the more it's used, the more is burnt. They have connections with Microsoft, Google, like true connections. NVIDIA, the CEO of Render, is very good friends with the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen. So in my opinion, this is God tier coin as well. Sunesis 1 is definitely a punt. Could be a 100x potential altcoin. It's a single million market cap coin. However, what I love about this coin is it hits a train to earn narrative. You essentially train AI models to play video games or do things like help it use language that typically humans would, because it can't typically find that in data sets. So it's a great idea, but personally speaking, definitely a punt this cycle. Sai is the next coin. I'm not too fussed on Sai. It's definitely a meh coin. Not good, not bad for me. Not somewhere where I'd be very interested. I think a more interesting type of coin that both that and Hyperlane offer would be injective, just because I've seen what the team's capable of. Not a bad coin per se, but just not fussed on it. Solana's our next coin here, and the reason why I'm going to put it in the meh column is because for this cycle, the multiples are tiny, all right? It's already at $245, 100 billion market cap. While I see this possibly going to a market cap of maybe possibly at highs like 400 billion highs, I just don't think the multiples are still going to be there, right? It's just the risk and reward. Unless you've got $1 million and you want to make 50% gain on that or something like that, then I don't think Solana is a good pick if you want to make some decent chunk of change. I think you've got way better coins in a similar risk category than Solana for more multiples. In saying that, the technology as well is a bit questionable. Edward Snowden, he actually was recently at Token 2049 in Singapore, which I was also at, and he said on stage that he doesn't think Solana is a very good coin, essentially. He says very, very centralized, right? There are flaws for this coin. I just don't know how it's going to go long term. Look, a lot of projects use it and rely on it, but they could quickly merge out of Solana if there was ever any sign to do so. They've also been caught out superficially bumping up the volume and the transactions before as well. And all that to say, it's still got good qualities about it. Don't mark me wrong, but like I say, not my cup of tea for this bull run. Sui, I definitely think deserves a would buy spot. Again, the multiples are definitely there for this cycle. Would probably be a good substitute for Solana. Great TVL. It's got a couple big influences behind it constantly. I like the coin personally. Not the best tokenomics, I must admit. But again, it still is a decent ROI, I think, at this point from the cycle. Not quite sure on Legendary or God tier because, again, I just want to see it go through at least one cycle to be in that column or show a very unique proposition to do well in the long term. Yeah, what about Potenza? Oh, controversial one here, guys. I'm going to put it in meh, okay? And I know you're going to be sitting there like, dude, this guy literally ranked one of my favorite coins a meh. My opinion, dude. My opinion. I know I've ranked Render quite high and people often look at these as competitors. They're not competitors, all right? Potenza's a layer 1, technically a layer 0, providing infrastructure or subnets for other AI-focused layer 1 projects. It's a great coin, a great concept, but I'm just thinking to myself, what is unique about it that something like Near Protocol, an AI-focused layer 1 now, is not doing? Do you know what I'm saying? I want to see something tangible here. Now, I don't think it's going to do bad, but for me, I just don't know what the hype's about, personally. Now, what about Ton? Now, this coin is actually, for the same reason, good as it is bad. And that is that it's so unique. It is specifically Telegram's coin that makes it so unique. There are no other coins that is Telegram's coin, right? So that, of course, creates a meme about it. It's Telegram's coin. And I think Telegram will do well in perpetuity, which is instantly probably legendary. But what about this cycle? Well, again, for that same reason, I think it's so heavily tied to Telegram and not tied to other narratives. I see it just having to rely on single Telegram-esque news to pump. Not saying solely, of course, it's a quality coin in and of itself, but you know what I'm saying? For the massive blow off top. So while it's a blessing for the long term, maybe a curse for the short. So for me, for now, punt. Wormhole, it's a great coin. Look, guys, this is a same coin as XLR, same coin as Layer 0 here. In the center, does cross-chain transfers, but these guys are the de facto in and out of the Solana ecosystem. These guys transfer $250 million worth of volume based on that 1 day of Trump coin trading. Huge stuff. They have more transactions, more messages, more total volume than Layer 0 and even Axelar. They are a great coin, and they're working now with Securitize to bring all of Securitize and therefore BlackRock's tokenized assets, including the buildable fund that Ondo uses, cross-chain. So when people realize this, I think it might be a bit of a wake-up call and they'll be probably FOMOing in, right? So in my opinion, it's a bit of a tricky one. Would buy or legendary? I'm just going to put it in probably legendary here. And the reason is just because of our partnership with Securitize. As long as that holds and actually strengthens, in the next cycle, I see it doing very, very, very well. Now, in saying that as well, quickly here, Layer 0, its competitor, I see it in the would buy. It's a great coin, don't get me wrong, but I have preference into Wormhole because of the Securitize partnership and because it's the de facto of the Solana ecosystem. Now, not to, throw shade here at Layer 0 because these guys have had some massive partnerships. Not a single partnership has been as big as Securitize, but there have been multiple high-quality ones. So it's up to you to decide what you personally like more, but they're very, very similar in that sense. Now, XRP is our last coin, and this is going straight into the God tier. The reason why is because they have the largest partnerships in the space. They've acquired entire businesses to ensure their business model is successful. These guys are, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the top crypto coins, and I see these guys doing well in the long run, regardless of crypto doing well or not. In saying that, they do have part of their fund that does literally dump tokens on the open market. So that is not ideal, unfortunately, to obviously keep the project running. It's quite normal in the space, but these guys are doing it on a very large scale, which again isn't favorable. So they're essentially dumping on you rather than doing OTC deals, which would be, I guess, favorable. And the only other problem I have with XRP as well is the transaction fees. I'd love to ensure, at least this is for the long-term sake, for the short-term doesn't really matter too much, that the transactions that occur on the network are priced in to XRP. If they offer stablecoins for these companies to buy or, fiat to be able to use for the transaction itself, then I'd love for XRP to be actually bought out of supply in that case, or somehow used to a larger degree in cross-border transactions. Maybe I'm nitpicking, so be it, but just my 2 cents. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch this whole entire video. That's my up-to-date thoughts on these major coins. But let me know which ones I missed, which ones you want me to cover next, particularly the mid and smaller coins. I don't mind looking into these for the video as well. And with that being said, talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.